Hello and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse and tonight's episode of Inside the Mind with the one and only Phaedra Florou, who wrote Good Vibes Only. Hello, Phaedra.
Hello.
Please tell everybody who you are, where we can find you and what you do.
I'm Phaedra. I am the founder and main keeper of Stars Are Right, the podcast and publishing and community. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you haven't, you can find everything you need at starsareright.com, where we play a podcast with main Call of Cthulhu campaigns, as well as our own original scenarios that we play through as well. The original scenarios you can find on the Miskatonic repository. I actually have with me my two bestsellers. Of course, the one and only, Good Vibes Only. Gold bestseller that you have probably just listened to an amazing playthrough of, and Electrum bestseller, Castle of Greed. We also have lots of other amazing scenarios, including Heartless and Loveland and Play Repeat Return by my friend and partner, colleague, Braden. Partners, how? Don't confuse them. They're all partners. We're all having a great time. And of course, the Reanimator Returns coming soon, which is the first scenario we've actually produced rather than written ourselves. So we give clients an editing, art, layout jobby, and then we send them out to the repository already. So we take their idea, we make it into something awesome, and we help them promote it. We play it on the podcast. So information on that is also on the website, where we also have some awesome merch. I'm just properly selling here.
No, absolutely. We want to hear about this.
We got t-shirts.
T-shirt.
We got umbrellas. We got sexy aprons for cooking with Stars Are Right logo. We have umbrellas. We have dog bandanas. And besides one merch shop, we have some amazing dice bags from Beverly and Stitches. You can see they're personalized. So this one says my name. Normally you get this without the dots. The dots were an earlier iteration. And inside, besides the dice, it glows in the dark. So if you didn't think you needed that, now you do.
Your mind has been changed.
Your mind has been changed. And other than that, of course, I appear in other amazing podcasts like the Miskatonic Playhouse, and recently I streamed with Symphony. So just having a good time, being everywhere and doing everything all the time. Thanks for asking, Newman.
No, not at all. And that's why we're here today, because we want to hear from you. And we do have, so with our Inside the Mind, we have the same 6 questions for every one of our wonderful authors that come through. And we're going to start off. So question numero uno, which is Romanian for question number 1. What are you most proud of with your scenario? So this is, even though you've got your other fantastic scenarios and there is a range and you producing scenarios, and that's, I have to say, really exciting now. It's a really cool evolution for Stars Are Right, but this is Good Vibes Only. Yeah. What are you most proud of with your scenario?
Well, Good Vibes Only is the first scenario I ever published. It's not the first one I wrote. It's the first one I managed to get all through to publish, mainly because of the Storytelling Collective, which was really appreciated. It gave me that kick in the butt. I love that it became a gold bestseller. How cool is that?
Amazing.
And I especially love the amount of Good Vibes Only jokes I keep seeing everywhere in the community discords. Everyone keeps posting pictures of seeing something somewhere saying Good Vibes Only and being like, oh no, and looking terrified. So for one, I am especially proud of making people viscerally scared of toxic positivity, because it is a real danger in our society nowadays. And other than that, the more I think about it, the more excited I am by how strange and unusual the setting and the kind of subject matter is compared to a lot of other scenarios I see. I feel like I somehow managed to bring like a different story than you see in a lot of Call of Cthulhu stuff. It just, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be something I've seen before. And I always feel like with my other scenarios, I can't quite emulate exactly that in the way that I'd like to. So I'm pretty proud of that. And of course, there's a diversity, and I also like the kind of philosophical moral dilemma aspect, which I think comes through to me, but maybe not to the players as much, because the players, they're like, haha, they're telling us what to do, they're bad guys. Time to burn everything down.
But they are only bad guys because of the experiences they've had. So they're previously probably investigators that have gone through the mill kind of thing. I have to say, with you saying that about the scenario, you know, the kind of the moral dilemmas and the other aspects of it, I think, and you know, focusing on that toxic positivity, I think that's such a cool thing to focus on as the kind of the moral question, the other thing, because as you said, there's so many scenarios out there, and you know, all of us that are writers, all of us that are publishing scenarios, I suppose we're all looking for something that makes a scenario a significantly different experience for people, or for the keeper and for the investigator. And I think it's such a cool way to look at cosmic horror, because obviously you know, the traditional is cosmic horror, run, it's scary. Whereas with this, it's that in your face, as you say, toxic positivity, and it's right there. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not just a toxic positivity thing, but it's like happiness versus free will thing. It's the classic dilemma, isn't it? Do you want to be under the influence of a drug and just be happy and healthy forever, and you have no problems anymore and nothing phases you and you just chill and it's a good time? Or do you want to not be under the influence of a drug and be super sad sometimes, but also have free will? And I think that's a, you know, like a classic philosophical dilemma that I thought I'd tackle with a Call of Cthulhu scenario, because who has time to write books or anything else?
And when you don't want to be happy, which as human beings, we all don't want that sometimes, being told to be happy. So when we played, for those of you that have listened, which I'm sure you all have, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this, Bridget was amazing because she quite openly on the podcast says, oh, I've had a really crap day. I've had this in my, you know, this is Bridget's real life. I've had a really crap day. I want to come in here and I want to like work it out through a character. And then she was forced to be incredibly positive and happy, and it worked. And there was almost just like this incredibly fun kind of investigator situation we had, but also player situation we had, because it does, there is that kind of manipulation of investigators, which is a really cool way to do it as well. Yeah,
it's
so
kind of too real in some ways.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was one of the moments that really got me smiling when we were playing, was when Bridget was kind of going, I just want to play someone who's ready to burn it all down, like you said earlier, but I've got to be nice. I've got to be nice. Just going on this then, because this kind of leads us very nicely into our second question. So maybe this is linked to the toxic positivity, maybe it's not. But what would your advice be to future keepers of your scenario of Good Vibes Only?
Well, I have tried to give quite a bit of keeper advice within the scenario book, which is always quite nice. Things like using Kiana as a player character, or using her as a way to kind of push forward the narrative, depending on whether you want it to be more slow or you want it to be more of convention length. So you want to move things forward. So I've already talked about things like that, kind of more flavor wise. What I think really benefits this scenario is kind of building up the creepiness quite slowly and giving them hints that things are like strange, but without necessarily having everything be terrible instantly. I like in the beginning, obviously spoilers. I like in the beginning how people, obviously I haven't actually watched yet your playthrough because it's not live yet.
Not released yet. Yeah.
But I like how often in my playtest people really question Kiana in the beginning, because everything is not creepy enough yet. So they're like, we don't trust you. Why are you telling us all these things? And I feel like in general in my scenarios, I like the idea of the creepiness building up slowly. I think that it would definitely be good to build up on that moral dilemma, like kind of emphasize how happy and carefree people feel when they are under the influence. And I particularly also like when people make good use of the mechanic that I came up with inhaling the incense.
I think Hedge did that well for us, and we had one of our players. They did, as you advise in the book, they used Kiana as one of their PCs. So yeah, that was
cosmic, right?
Yeah, it's cosmic. I have to say, there was a point where I was like, I don't think Cosmic's kind of understood what we're doing. But the reality is, usually as it is with Cosmic, pretty much all the time, is he was well aware and more informed than the rest of us. But yeah, I have to say, I think having Kiana as a PC, it did really help us kind of navigate a lot of that story. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And you had to hold your breath, did you?
I did. Yes. And
Lovely.
I succeeded. I was very proud of myself. Yeah, very proud of
Yeah.
myself.
Uh,
Yeah, but those are really nice things because again, they just they at the table, whether it's online or in person, they bring a really nice, memorable moment to the game, which is, I guess, it's original. It's original to that game. It's unique to that game. Yeah, so really cool. Yeah.
I do like coming up with little mechanics in my games, like I have an instance table that kind of
Yes.
shows you the progression. In the Castle of Greed, I have a thing called like the vortex of fear. I don't remember exactly what it's called right now. And it has a little mechanic as well for how the
Yeah.
sanity
Yeah.
works. And I think it's nice, like introducing little things that kind of
Yeah.
are special to your scenario.
And any tools like that you can give the keeper to help
Yeah.
develop and use a mechanic. It's got to be a win, hasn't it? Because any help you give the keeper, you're improving the game for everybody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next question, number 3. Is there a Miskatonic repository scenario that you would like to run? Because we've obviously run this and it's been fantastic. What would you like to run?
Well, honestly, I'd like to run all of them, but I am continuously prepping or editing or writing a different scenario. I don't even like let myself think about what I'm going to prep next, because if it's not going on the podcast or if I'm not
Yeah,
publishing it, then chances are it's not happening,
I
sadly.
hear that.
I
Yeah.
had an in-person group. I was regularly playing scenarios and reviewing them from the Miskatonic repository, and that was really fun. And in fact, the last scenario I happened to be prepping because before everything fell apart, that was the one and only Be My Valentine that I managed to prep halfway
Ooh.
through before I didn't have a group to play with anymore. So I'd love to finish prepping that and run it at some point. Who
Nice.
knows,
Okay.
maybe before Valentine's Day. And of course, scenarios that I've been like craving, all of Cat Clay scenarios. Just I look at them and I'm like, that looks like a really fun scenario to run.
Yeah.
And what I might likely run in the future from the Playhouse, which is not one I am lead editing, but the Reanimator Returns, which is coming out soon. I might end up running that, even though pulp is not my strongest. It was really fun playing it, and yeah.
Oh, nice. Fantastic.
Mm.
Nice. Well, don't maybe this is a spoiler for the future, but maybe hold off on Being My Valentine because I reckon I'd like to run that at the Playhouse. And I reckon
Okay.
there's a few characters that have survived some of the earlier scenarios that maybe we could bring back.
Okay.
Because I think you're a bit of a you're one of the continuing features of my scenario. So yeah, I think
All
hold off
right.
that. We'll get
I'll
you in as a
purge
player.
everything from my
Yeah.
memory that I've read so
Absolutely.
far.
Absolutely. Okay, so question number 4, talking about let's pretend that you don't have these mountains of editing and prep and work, which I know you do. I know you do. Let's pretend you don't. Let's pretend you're looking at going into next scenario. What would you like to explore in your new scenario?
Well, I actually am working on several new scenarios, just really slowly. And as I said, I like exploring like new mechanics and new things I haven't done before in my scenarios. The closest scenario I have to being finished is a Regency really quick convention scenario. And what
Nice.
I'm exploring in it is a completely new mechanic that has gone well in playtesting so far, in the one time I playtested it, which is that's like yeah, um, secret information. Creating an NPC in game, so the players get to visualize an NPC.
Oh, that's really
Um,
cool.
who then is like a key character in the plot. So that tends to make the players care more about this NPC when
Yeah.
terrible things don't happen to them.
Of course not. It's
um,
Call of Cthulhu. Of course not.
so that's a fun mechanic. And of course, I'm working on a little scenario for a Miskatonic Playhouse anthology. And the thing I'd like to explore with this one that I'm looking at is a more explosive start to the scenario than I
Oh,
normally do the like kind of creepiness building up slowly, and I quite like that kind of getting those hints. But I've been wanting to kind of explore the idea of what will happen if the kind of a really terrible thing happens as the action starts, and then you have to deal with the
okay.
kind of with the consequences of that from the first moment.
Oh,
So that's the thing I'd like to explore with that. And then later on, I'm hoping to publish a Lone Against scenario set in the Regency era that I've already written as a normal scenario, but I think it would work quite well as
yeah,
an
yeah.
alone one. And then after that, I actually really, really want to make a campaign setting book happen in Greece that explores more modern Greek history, but also the ancient Greek myths slash
That would be
mythos.
amazing. Yeah.
And I'm really hoping to get some time to start working on that because I have to read a history book first because I've forgotten everything I learned at school.
Yeah, nice. That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. What did I do for Regency? I think someone recommended to me. One of my history teacher friends recommended to me the Time Traveler's Guide series,
Mm,
which are books, but I cheated and did the audio book. So when I was driving back
nice.
and to from work, I just had this chap talking to me about when electric lights first started appearing on the coast and spars and baths and things like that. But yeah, oh, that would be amazing. I mean, those all sound amazing. It is, isn't it? It's just the curse of bloody time.
There's so much. And then,
Yeah.
that's a kind of a personal life thing, but we're basically launching a separate business at the same time right now with
You
Hal.
and Mr. Howell are
Yeah.
busy, busy bees. Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
So, and getting
Yeah.
married. So it's
Well, you know, these things
a
you
lot.
gotta squeeze them in somewhere, haven't you, between scenarios?
Yeah. As the next day after return from our honeymoon, literally the next day at 1 a.m., I am on a Miskatonic repository con panel in Greece. Like
Nice.
I'm returning to my parents' house, sleeping, and then waking up at 1 a.m. to appear in a panel. And I was like, sorry. And he was like, you know what, it's fine. Our honeymoon will just be over.
But
It's more
yeah.
important.
But that's awesome. That's fantastic. And I'm guessing it won't be 1 a.m. for the rest of us, so we'll all be able to tune in and watch.
Yeah, hopefully it's a bit earlier than that for you.
Amazing. Okay. So question number 5, and this might lead into your you've got to read a history book, but where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, definitely not history because I'm actually really bad at facts. That's a fun thing about me, bad at facts.
That's a
My
fact.
memory for facts is really bad. And I am not as much of a history or a horror nerd than other people around me. In fact, I
Mm.
don't watch horror films and I don't read horror. Hal tried to read me some Lovecraft and I kept falling asleep. So that was a problem. um, so I guess what I bring to scenarios is not the classics. I just draw from like things that I find interesting, my life. The Good Vibes, for example, was just inspired from like I've actually been to meditation retreats and I've done a massage therapist course, and there's an element of woo coming along with those things. And I
Yeah.
just like exploring things that I've experienced more than anything else, or kind of Castle of Greed is a bit more of a light-hearted, like, I like burgers. Let's make something about burgers. Like that was literally
When I
the
used to own a burger
inspiration.
restaurant and kill people,
Yeah, I
this
mean.
gave me the inspiration for
And
okay,
yeah, and
okay.
then I just went on a Wikipedia run for like burger restaurants and mysteries surrounding them. And that's kind of Good Vibes Only was part of the storytelling collective exercise to come up with 10 ideas and just
Yeah. I
pick
remember that
one.
bit. Yeah.
So yeah, I think my inspiration is whatever is interesting to me at the time.
I like that. I think there's got to be an element of when you kind of say it's, you know, it's they're personal. You know,
Mm,
these ideas, they come from a personal place. I think that adds a huge amount of originality to the whole thing. If that's the foundation, if that's the seed of the idea, and it is a personal experience, then I think
yeah.
that's only going to feed more originality into the whole thing as it goes.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually slightly lying. I also combined the inspiration with an entity from the Malleus Monstrorum that has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Often I pick a random page and then I see how I can combine my idea with a random thing, and then I change it kind of to fit mine because the Bismouth from Good Vibes Only
Yes.
is actually inspired by a random page monster as well on the Malleus
Ah.
Monstrorum that I changed. Like I looked at the picture and I was like, okay, I'm gonna change this to make it fit my scenario. So I do a bit of that as well.
Which I actually I appreciate that. I know that Rena Henze does the same thing when they often kind of just create a monster rather than
Mm-hmm.
taking something that already exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's the sense of, no, I want to create something new. And I, as someone who, loves the repository, loves collecting scenarios, having that build up of other entities that you can use in that scenario and then possibly in something else, I think that's fantastic. That's a really kind of fantastic way to build the kind of the library of monsters that are out there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're stuck in that path where you're going, is this one copyrighted, or
Yeah.
can I? Yeah.
We learned
um
from that early on at Cesar, right? Where we had to rename everyone to slightly different names to be ready. Now I just every time I see a scenario that has like named classic creatures or entities, I'm like, oh, there's an element of like,
yeah,
okay, more deep ones. All right.
yeah, it's
I like it when they're different. You can get the
yeah.
skeleton of the kind of like you did in spoilers potentially. Um,
If people aren't up to date with season 2 now, then you go for it, spoil it for them.
but yeah, you get a creature and then you kind of change it and then potentially even
Yeah,
rename it and then it's a new thing. It doesn't have to be like, oh, whatever Lovecraft told you, whatever you already know about it, that's what
I
you have
was
to use.
conscious of that though, and similar in
Mm.
the way that you're saying, by taking something and changing it and taking a deep one, kind of lobotomizing it and making it almost like an oppressed mythos creature,
Yeah.
um, because it was trying to do something, but do it in a different way. But yeah, I can really hear what you're saying there about kind of. I like that idea of randomly choosing a page and then, ooh,
Yeah.
how can
Maybe
I?
picking two pages and combining two
Yeah, yeah,
mythos
yeah,
creatures in
absolutely.
one. See
Yeah,
what
that's
happens.
really cool. Really cool. Okay, so last question. So this one is: what advice do you have for the rest of the Miskatonic repository community out there?
Well, starting off, make new creatures happen as a
Good
good
advice.
segue.
Yeah,
I in general, I just want to see new ideas and kind of things that are not normally explored in Call of Cthulhu scenarios, and that's in terms of like the setting or the plot. I feel like there's a lot of classic mystery. There's a lot of um 1920s detective. Everyone is investigators, but I want to see more normal people put in unlikely circumstances. That's what makes me happy. And I also, big advice, just lean into diversity,
yeah,
like include more people in non-stereotypical ways that like who have stories that want to be told, get inspired by the people around you, invite other people to collaborate on your projects that might have different experiences than you. That's a kind of one of the things that I'm proud of Good Vibes Only, to circle back to the previous question, is that I've included different people that don't always get represented in the pregens and in the main NPCs.
yeah,
And I think we need so much more of that now that the community is expanding, and it needs to be an even friendlier and more welcoming place. And that means we need to get more majority female or majority non-white casts in scenarios.
yeah.
And yeah, just write about what is special about your or your loved one's experiences. It doesn't have to be a horror trope to make it into a Call of Cthulhu scenario. It can be anything. You can be inspired by your favorite snack. You just start
Your
from somewhere
favorite food, if it's a
unexpected.
burger.
Exactly. Just start somewhere
Exactly.
unexpected. And then in a kind of a more general sense, the main lesson I've learned kind of in the publishing Call of Cthulhu community is how amazing all the other creators in the space are and how much you gain by just taking the time to celebrate and boost other people, because that kind of creates this wave where we all just kind of boost each other,
Yeah.
and we surge forward, and the growth is amazing. And then
I think
you
that's
just
yeah. I think celebrating other people in the community only makes the community better. I've really noticed that as well. There is like it's great to obviously promote your own stuff and bits and bobs, but when you can shout out somebody else, it really does. The whole community kind of benefits from everybody kind of raising
everyone.
up. Yeah.
It almost like, it's, first of all, it makes everyone feel happy. People feel appreciated. You start forming friendships. People know you, you know people, which is like already amazing. But I guarantee that if you take time to boost other people up, you will see literal figures
Yeah.
in your sales. Like your
Yeah.
sales will get better because more people are gonna join that kind of supportive circle where they boost each other, and you reach a wider circle of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just so important.
And the bigger our community gets, the better our community gets. Success is
Exactly.
shared. It's like the best. I would say it's like a pyramid scheme, but it's more like a spiral. The spiral
Don't say it's a
scheme.
pyramid scheme. That's
No,
the
I don't
opposite
think I
of
actually
what
know what a
growth.
pyramid scheme is. I just remember that episode on Teen Titans where they sort of sing about pyramid scheme money. My son sings it all the time.
It's not good.
No,
Not
no,
not a
no.
good thing.
I've heard it's not good. Well, on that note, everybody, I'm just going to do a few quick shout outs. So you can obviously find us, Miskatonic Playhouse, if you haven't already, on www.miskatonicplayhouse.com. If you have a scenario that you'd like to have played at the Miskatonic Playhouse, you can do so. You can email miskatonicplayhouse@gmail.com. And if you like what we're doing and the content we're doing and the interviews that we're doing and the people that we're seeing and the games that we're running, then you can support us for as little as £1 on Coffee, which is ko-fi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse. And by doing that, not only can you support us, but you can get access to some extra scenarios that are there for some of our supporters, which are actually pretty bloody good. So check it out, please. But do get in touch. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like, and let us know what you want us to do in the future. And on that note, that's goodbye from us.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and support us on Coffee. That's ko-fi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse, where you can access exclusive shows and content for as little as £1.